Good evening to all of you. Excited to have you here tonight. We are going to go ahead and officially get started. It is just at 7 o'clock Eastern time here in the United States, and very excited to welcome you to tonight's information session for the online MBA program at the University of Louisville. My name is Dr. Zac Goldman. I am the founding director of the online MBA program, have been overseeing this program now for almost the last 6 years, which is very exciting and lots that I want to share with you tonight. We do have a few slides, as you can see here, prepared for you just to kind of walk you through some of the foundations of the program. But I do also anticipate making sure we have plenty of time for questions this evening as well. And so my remarks will be relatively brief, at least in the context of this session tonight. And then we'll have, again, time at the end for your Q&A. Also tonight, I am joined by my colleague, Trisha Townsend. And so although Trisha is having some audio and technical issues right now, I do believe she has access to the chat. And so I encourage you tonight throughout the evening to be using that chat if you're able to. We would love to take as many of your questions as possible and definitely want to answer them as quickly as possible. So the chat is a great place to do that throughout the call tonight. But also, again, if there are questions that are best answered in a more traditional capacity, then I'll do that as well near the end of the call. I also want to invite you, as we get started tonight, to participate in the chat with a couple of questions of my own, which is maybe surprising to some of you. You may not have been prepared to answer some of my questions as program director, but I do believe there are two questions that really will get us started in a very positive way tonight and will help me tailor our conversation to you. The first question is, why are you interested in an MBA? And I hope that is a question that you've given much thought to, since you are, in fact, on an information session about an online MBA program. But I am genuinely curious for you and your family and your future and your growth. Why are you, on those of you on the call tonight, interested in an MBA? If you are able and if you are willing, I would love to invite you even just to share a few thoughts. They don't even need to be complete sentences necessarily, but what is it that you're interested in, and why are you pursuing an MBA or interested at least in one? If you would drop those in the chat, I would love to read those, and I know Trisha would as well. We would very much be interested in the responses tonight to that question, along with the second question, which is about yours. What would you like to learn tonight about U of L's online MBA program? So if you would take just a moment, drop any thoughts that you have on either of these two questions, but especially question number one. We'll obviously address question number two throughout the call this evening, but would love to hear your thoughts on why you are interested in an MBA program, what an MBA degree might do for you. And if you would put those in the chat, we'll give you just about a 30 seconds here or a minute or so just to type in a few thoughts. Hopefully you have access to our chat tonight, but would love to see a few of your thoughts in there this evening as we get started so that I can tailor much of our conversation around your interest, because there's a lot we can discuss and we only have about an hour or so to do so. And I want to make sure that we maximize your time tonight and what we tailor this conversation around. So if you would take just the next 30 seconds, drop any thoughts you have in the chat about what your interests are and or your questions tonight about our MBA program. We will be sure to address those as we get started. Let's see, one comment coming in here, and a couple others maybe typing. Interested in an MBA because looking to make a career pivot from operations leadership into finance. Thank you for sharing that. Very much love that comment and resonates, I think, with a lot of our students who do very much that exact thing, transitioning from different industries or different professions. An MBA is certainly valuable in doing that, and we'll talk a little bit about that tonight. So thank you for sharing that, and excited to hopefully support you in that endeavor through the MBA program. See a few others typing. We're going to give them just a moment here to do so, and also need to scroll down a little bit. Interested in MBA to advance my career in healthcare leadership. Would love to learn more about the curriculum, the links, the cost, and any benefits the program offers. Wonderful comments and questions there. We'll definitely be addressing those, including the fact that we do offer a Business of Healthcare certificate as part of our program that is included in the program cost. That is an additional credential on top of the MBA with no additional cost that does satisfy your elective credits. So we'll get into that in just a moment. But great comment there, especially for those interested in healthcare. But we also have other certificates as well that we'll preview tonight on the call, and we'll certainly address those other issues or other topics as well: curriculum, length, cost, etc. All right. I see one or two others still typing, but I'm going to give them just a moment to kind of finish those thoughts. And again, Trisha, I invite you to respond to our students and or continue to answer their questions as they come in there tonight, because I'll transition from looking at the chat back to the screen for a moment. Because there is much I want to share with you about our program tonight. There is a lot that I would love to get into. And again, we have a limited amount of time, so I will go somewhat quickly tonight. This is a recorded call, however, and you will get a copy of that recording if you're registered for the event tonight. And so if you do miss anything or need to go back at any point, you'll have a copy or access to this recording as well. But let's get into the overview or the foundations of the program. I think it's always helpful, especially when you're starting something new or interested in something new, to kind of briefly go back to the beginnings, at least the history of the program. I won't share you all the details. It is now a program that is 6+ years old. And so there's been, although a short history, somewhat of a journey that it's been on in the last 6 years. I'll spare you all those details, but I will say this is a direct parallel to our seated MBA program that we've offered for decades at the University of Louisville. And so while the online piece of this is relatively new in the last decade or so, the actual seated MBA program and the degree that we offer through the College of Business is in fact decades old at this point, and has an alumni base well into the thousands and thousands of people who have gone through the UofL MBA program. That said, what should you expect from this program, specifically the online MBA? Well, again, it is parallel the quality and the tradition that is the UofL MBA, because we are very much committed to offering the same degree. And it's important that you know that, because not all institutions do, in terms of they may be a separate degree or a separate accreditation or a separate institution altogether. You got to be very careful, especially in the online space. There are some institutions that you may, and I'm not going to list them by name, but there are some institutions out there that do have a particular brand, but that brand is not necessarily the same as the on-campus experience that it is known for or was built around. This is certainly the case for us, is that we are the University of Louisville. The faculty that you take in the online MBA program are the same that you would take in the seated MBA program. And we'll get into that here in just a moment. So quality was essential when we built this program. That's one of the two foundational pillars, is that we wanted the quality of instruction to rival and to parallel that of our seated program. But we also realized, and this is pre-pandemic, but we realized the need for flexibility. That is the University of Louisville, the College of Business. We did quickly understand, maybe not quickly, because in terms of the broader landscape, we were not the first, certainly, to offer an online MBA program, but we did want to make sure that we did so with quality. And so in 2019, we launched the first cohort of the online MBA program, and we have been offering this program ever since. So flexibility, quality, those are two of our foundational pillars that then the additional details of our program have emerged from. So we are asynchronous, meaning we do not have required meeting times that you are expected to be on or in front of your computer or attending a virtual class. We do have, of course, a lot of deadlines, a lot of structure. Asynchronous, sometimes people see that and they just assume do whatever you want whenever you want. That's not the case. It is a very structured program with a lot of guidance and a lot of interaction that you'll still be having with your faculty and with their peers, but it is not done around a scheduled meeting time. And so that is something to keep in mind, because again, there's various online programs out there. Some of them do require you to be on, for instance, at 7 o'clock on a Tuesday or Thursday or whenever. This is not the case for the online MBA program at the University of Louisville. We do offer one class at a time, although each of those classes, at least for the majority of your core in the program, lasts 5 weeks in duration, which, if you're familiar with the traditional academic model, 5 weeks is one of the fastest timelines that you will take to complete any given course. And that's why we do only offer one of those core classes at a time for the majority of your time in the program. But you do incrementally progress and do so at the same rate by the end of each semester. that you would in any other program. We just structure it slightly differently in its alignment with our two pillars. Again, the quality and flexibility, but also the core mission that we are attempting to serve as part of the MBA program. We do offer, as I mentioned earlier, the same faculty as our seated program. So all of our courses are led by a full-time faculty member at the College of Business, and that is something that I think is really important for you to know. We do have also instructional teams, and I'll talk a little bit about them in a moment because that's an added benefit of being in the online program. For those of you who have never taken a fully online program before, it is built via Blackboard, and it's built in a way that we designed it so that anybody, regardless of your technical experience or background, whether you've taken 1,000 online courses or no online courses, you will be able to navigate these courses, and we have team members prepared to support you in that process. Lastly, we do have an international trip that's built into the curriculum. I'll talk about that this evening in just a moment, along with a growing number of electives around your interest. And a couple of the questions that I always get, first and foremost, is the international trip required? No, it is not. You do have an alternative if you are not interested or able to travel outside of the United States. That is something that there is an additional alternative to. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But it is something that is truly incredible. When I say built into the curriculum, we do give you credit hours. We do cover much, or at least a significant portion of the cost. We'll talk more again about that in just a moment. But again, growing number of electives as well. An MBA is one of the more broad graduate degrees you're going to take. You're going to take a lot of different subject matters from accounting, finance, marketing, management, all types of different backgrounds and perspectives are represented in an MBA degree, but it also has a depth to it as well, and that is primarily through our electives. And we also offer a host of certificates. I mentioned just a moment ago the business of healthcare, but we'll talk about the others in just a moment as well. All right. So, what is unique then? That's kind of foundational. That's kind of what was the house built on. But let's talk a little bit about some of the unique features of the online MBA program at the University of Louisville. Number one, we are a cohort model. And what you should know about that is that we do have only 2 intakes a year. So, if you are on this call tonight, or if you are listening to this recording anytime around or near October of 2025, which is when this is taking place, you should know that our next intake is this upcoming January. We have an official January start date, and we do have some availability still remaining for that cohort, although that window is closing quickly. We'll talk more about that at the end of the call tonight. We will be accepting applications all the way up until December 1st. December 1st, which is about 6 or so weeks away from now, we'll be accepting applications to the spring cohort of 2026. Again, spring is a bit misleading in academic terms because we do start in January. So most people don't think January and think spring, but that is the academic calendar. So that is when we will be starting our next cohort. We do not offer start dates outside of those 2. And there's a reason for that. It's because we believe in cohorts. We believe in the value of a community. We believe that when you connect with like-minded people and or people of difference, but yet pursuing similar goals, great things can happen. And we certainly see that time and time again in our various MBA and graduate programs, and all of our graduate programs in the College of Business are in fact cohort-based. And so the online MBA is a part of that tradition. Also, who would you be actually working with? Because if you're going into a cohort, that assumes, again, other people are starting at the same time you are, and that is indeed correct. But who are these people, and why is there value in going through it with them? One, I believe there's tremendous value in the cohort model because the relationships that you build in graduate school, and I want to slow down on this for just a moment because I think it's so important. The relationships that you build in graduate school are some of the most important professional relationships you'll have in your life. I genuinely believe that. It's been the case in my own life. It's been the case in the life of the majority of my students who have gone through this program or other graduate programs. And I cannot stress enough how important it is in today's age to have some of those relationships, both within your own industry and your own profession, so that you can lean and learn from each other, but also from professions outside of your own. There are many times in which I need to speak to somebody with a very different background than mine. So for instance, I'm an academic by trade. I am a faculty member in the College of Business. There may be times in which I need to speak to somebody with an accounting background, or somebody with a legal background, or somebody with an engineering background. And those are moments and situations where I'm very grateful for the fact that I have a cohort in my own relationship, a community that I'm a part of, and you will have that as well, being part of the online MBA program. Again, I know I'm going quickly here. I will slow down for questions in just a moment. But here are a few of the comments reflecting this cohort model and the value of it from a few of our former students. All of them now have gone on to graduate. Melanie, Michael, Raymond, all three of them have, again, been really just great ambassadors of the program, but are, I think, living examples, great living examples of why our cohort model is built and leveraged around community and why that's so important. So again, I'm not going to read all these to you, but just a few of the former student remarks about working with and being a part of a cohort and a team in an online program. Last thing I'll say about this, we have students all over the world. This is a map of the United States, of course, and this is a dated map. We need to truly update this, and we will do that soon. But this was a map taken from the first couple of years of the program. And as you can see, even from the launch of the program, this was a program that attracted really global interest, certainly domestically across the United States. But we do have multiple students living internationally taking this program. And I think that's a real testament to not just this program specifically, but the University of Louisville and just how powerful of a community it is, and the quality of the education the University of Louisville offers is known around the world and known across professions and across industries and across employers. And we have some of those represented here on this slide. All right, let me transition just a moment. And again, I know I'm throwing a lot at you in a short amount of time, but I do want to make sure I'm addressing some of those points that were shared in the comments. And I will go back into those in just a moment to see if there's any new ones that have emerged. But, thinking about the coursework and thinking, not just about what you'll be learning, but I think it's really important that you think about, too, who you'll be learning from. And again, I stress this because I study online MBA programs, not for a living, but it is a big part of my job. So I look out and I see what other programs are doing. I think there's some programs that are really great out there. I certainly think ours is really great. And I think there's some things that I personally wouldn't sign up for if I was a student. And one of the things that I'd be very cautious about is programs where I don't actually get to work with the full faculty of any particular institution or university. That is not the case here at the University of Louisville. You do have access to our faculty. You do work directly with the subject matter experts who build these courses, who develop these courses, who design these courses, and who facilitate these courses. But you also have what I think is really unique, an instructional team that supports you. And so we break our courses and we break our cohorts into sections. We do allow those sections to communicate across, and we connect them in various ways and through various events. But in each section, you also have a designated section leader. And I think that's really important in today's age, especially in the online education space, because you need somebody who's there for you, somebody who's interacting with you, somebody who's working with you, somebody who's giving you feedback on a regular basis. And so you get that via the section leader, but you also get the faculty member who, again, is the subject matter expert and who has worked to develop and build the courses. I do want to stress, though, not only are our faculty some of the best in the world, and I've been at multiple institutions now, I believe that genuinely. I do also want to stress the fact that these section leaders are well qualified in their own rights. Because what's really unique about them is that we bring in industry professionals, people who have background or experience in a given subject matter. So this course, as an example, is our financial accounting course, led by Dr. Julie Wong, a tenured accounting professor in the College of Business. But also part of that team is multiple section leaders. Derek, Wei, Shirag are all featured here. These are three individuals who have all worked professionally in the field of accounting. And I think that's really important that you're getting both the practitioner side, you're getting people who have worked in these spaces that you're learning about, but also you're getting the academic side, people who have studied this, researched it, and really know it well. And I think it creates a really well-rounded program in terms of what you learn and how you learn it. And again, it all stems from who you learn it from. And so I really am proud of the teams that we have and the faculty that lead them. So I mentioned those section leaders. Again, they represent all different types of industries, all different types of employments, but these are just a few of some of our more represented industries and professions and employers among our section leaders. Again, there are many others that we'll talk about as we continue to go along. That said, the who is important. I also think the what is important in terms of what you will be learning and how you will be learning it. So I like this visual. We have a couple of others since then, since this has been created to kind of reflect, our map, our pathway to how we structure the program. And I do realize the font here is kind of small. Again, if you're on the Microsoft Teams app and not the web browser, I think Microsoft Teams will now allow you to zoom in on your own. So if you look down at the bottom, you should have a zoom in feature where you can kind of look at that more closely if you would like. And again, we do provide you with all these resources as you get started in the program as well. But this is a good roadmap or a pathway for you to see how we structure the courses and the program as a whole. We are a 20-month program. We do offer our degree over 20 months, which is typically, or more traditionally, 5 semesters. Again, we don't typically use the 5 semesters because we are on a 5-week calendar. So we don't usually refer to ourselves as semesters, but for this slide, I like to include that because many of you are familiar with kind of the undergraduate model of semesters and academic years. And so this is how that maps on to that. But again, we are roughly 5 weeks in duration. So I'll give you an example here of your first semester. In your first semester, you would start with Applied Microeconomics, which is a course led by Dr. Audrey Klein. You would then, for that, would take that course for 5 weeks. So if you start this coming spring, I believe our start date is the 2nd week of January. Don't quote me on that. Trisha can put the actual start date in the chat for me to get you some accurate information. But let's say it's the 2nd week of January for hypothetical terms. Then you're going to take that course for 5 weeks, which would put you toward near the mid to end of February. That's when that course would conclude. And then you would start your second course, which happens to be MBA 632, Strategic Managerial Communication. That is my own course. I teach it personally, and I'm very proud of the work we do in that course. That would begin mid to late February, run for 5 more weeks, and that would end at the end of March. And then you would take your last course of your first semester, which would be Introduction to Statistics and Data Analytics. All of these courses are 3 credit hours in duration, all of your core classes, with the exception of our global learning and global business courses. I'm going to set those aside for a moment. I promise to come back to them in just a moment. But our 3 credit hour courses, the reason I stress that to you is because particularly for students interested in financial aid, this is considered a full-time program. You would be taking 9 credit hours a semester as part of our cohort model, which would enable you which would allow you to be eligible for financial aid depending on what financial aid you are applying for. But it is considered by federal standards a full-time MBA program, given that we do offer and we do expect you to take 9 credit hours a semester. So that is where and how the 20 credit hours, or the 20 months rather, are spent, is over this pathway that you have outlined in front of you. 9 credit hours per semester for 5 semesters. We'll separate out that last one for a moment. That is going to be your electives. I will talk about it shortly. But for a total of 45 credit hours is what our MBA and online MBA program is. And both of those are consistent across seated and online. All right, I threw a lot at you in a short amount of time. I do have a few other things that I definitely still want to hit on, but let me pause there for a second. Let me jump back into the chat, make sure there's anything in there I haven't seen or missed. And I know Trisha, I'm sure, is commenting on there. Next cohort she mentioned beginning in January. Application deadline is December 1st. So yeah, thank you, Trisha, for that. And Trisha had put some additional comments in there. Yeah, the spring 2026 courses officially begin January 12th. So thank you, Trisha, for fact checking me there and getting that information for our participants on the call tonight. All right, not seeing any other questions in the chat. Let me jump back into things then, and let me transition into, and again, we will offer some Q&A at the end of this, because I do know I'm going a little bit fast here. But this is something I could talk about for hours, and I'll need to abbreviate myself because it truly could be discussed for hours, how much I think of this part of our program. We do offer, as I said at the beginning of the call, an international trip that is embedded into the curriculum. So what does that mean? A couple of FAQs for you. One, we do offer credit hours. So we offer 1.5 credit hours for this experience that does apply directly to your degree. For those students who cannot or do not wish to travel, you do still get the same 1.5 credit hours It is a global learning course as well that you would be taking. It is simply a non-travel option. So it'd be a continuation of some of the other online classes that you would be taking. Can be done, of course, domestically or wherever you may be, but that is the non-travel alternative. That being said, I strongly encourage you. I cannot stress enough how much I think and how much I value the experiences our students, our faculty, and everybody who contributes to these trips have when they're on them. They are not only memorable in so many ways, they are transformative. And I don't use that word lightly. I've been on these trips multiple times myself. I have seen firsthand what students experience and when they come back and how different they can be when they return, because we spend 10 days approximately internationally. We go to multiple countries. Most of our trips do have two countries assigned to them. So for instance, most recently I was in Southeast Asia back in May. Cambodia and Thailand was where I was with a wonderful group of both online MBA students, seated MBA students, along with some of our Masters of Science and Accounting and Analytics students. So a lot of different students come in and get to be a part of these experiences, which is really cool. But one of the things that I love the most is just their experiences, many of them traveling internationally for the first time, and or people experiencing different cultures that they've never encountered before, or just meeting and working with and collaborating with international business leaders, because it's not just a sightseeing trip. It's not just we go and go have a good time. We actually go and we meet with multiple business leaders, typically about two a day, that we'll do while we're on these 10-day trips, where you'll be meeting people like we were at in Thailand. We were at the Boston Consulting Group. We were at Microsoft. We were at some smaller organizations that were local there to Bangkok, where we were. We just got to see a lot of different industries, a lot of different professions, and had behind the scenes conversations, tours, you name it. Truly incredible experiences that were had there, both again in that trip, Bangkok or Thailand, and then also previously we were the first half of that trip we were in Cambodia. And again, those are just experiences that cannot truly be captured in any other format without travel. And so I know the question always becomes, again, do we have to? And I mentioned that there is an alternative, but I will also say that another question that comes up is, is it reasonable, realistic, feasible, all those types of things. And in my opinion, yes. I mean, the biggest cost in addition to your tuition that you pay is the actual flight that you would have to pay. So you are responsible for your travels, but the actual hotel cost is embedded into the trip, and so you do not actually have to pay for lodging. Many of the meals and other expenses, including transportation, we provide shuttles and buses and all types of things to get around these countries. They are covered as well. And so, as far as an international experience, it's by far one of the most affordable, in my opinion, that you're going to find. And it also is one of the most transformative because you're going through it with MBA students or fellow colleagues in the online graduate or the graduate programs in general, some of them online, some of them in person. But it is truly an incredible experience that I've been fortunate now to go to Cambodia, Thailand, Dubai, Argentina, Chile. I'm sure I'm missing a few in there, but I've had a great experience in all of those places with our students, and I hope to have those experiences with many of you on the call as well going forward. All right. So that's the international trip. Let's talk a little bit about those electives that I mentioned, and talk a little bit about the certificates specifically that we offer. So we offer currently five. We'll be offering five coming up soon. We are actually, family business may not be offered in the upcoming semesters. That is still to be determined. So I want to emphasize that caveat here, but we do have one that is not featured here. And so I'll talk about that as well. But five current graduate certificates that make up the College of Business graduate certificate portfolio. Those are managerial analytics, distilled spirits, as you see here, horse racing industry, franchise management, and I did mention it just a moment ago, but we do have a business of healthcare certificate, which is our newest addition to the certificate portfolio. So these are standalone credentials. They have their own recognition and their own certification process, but they are part of the MBA program in that they can count for your electives towards your graduation. So all MBA students need 9 elective credit hours to graduate from their MBA. These just happen to meet all those elective credit hours. You'd have multiple classes that you would take as part of those certificates. They would ultimately culminate into being 9 credit hours, and you would get not only the elective credits you need to graduate with your MBA, you would also get, assuming good academic standing, of course, and that you have successfully passed all the courses, you would get and earn a certificate in one of those 5 distinct areas. Now, if you're not interested in one of those 5 distinct areas, that is quite all right. We do have a variety of other options, and we do allow you to pick various courses from each of our certificates so that you don't actually have to make up the whole certificate. You may just want to take 1 or 2 courses in managerial analytics, and then you may want to take some of our other electives that exist outside of our certificate portfolio. For instance, you want some more leadership classes, or you're interested in sales, or you're interested in supply chains, or a variety of other subjects. Finance, we saw that mentioned on the chat earlier. We offer, this past semester, we offered a personal finance course. We offer several new courses in AI. That has been obviously a growing topic of interest for not only ourselves in the college, but our business partners, our students, everybody. So we really do keep a pretty modern portfolio of electives up to date and relevant to the business needs of our community partners and our organizations that we are in collaboration with. And then in total, I think we've averaged for the last 3 or 4 years, 50 plus individual electives courses that you can take. Some of them part of the certificates, some of them outside of them. But we do offer that. And we also offer and cross lists so that if you want to take some electives in person, you're able to do that as well. So really a robust portfolio of electives that allow you to specialize your degree in some really interesting and personal ways. The last thing I want to mention is something that is near and dear to my heart, something that myself and the faculty of the College of Business built a few years ago. And we're actually in the process of updating and keeping it modern and relevant as well. But that is the Cardinal Choice Initiative, or the Cardinal Choice Assignment. And here's what I want to tell you about the Cardinal Choice. Sometimes actually in many programs, undergraduate and graduate, you have a capstone of some kind, or some type of culminating project that you would do. Some might be a thesis in the graduate level or other areas. In the MBA, particularly in the online MBA, we have the Cardinal Choice. And what that looks like is that you actually have choice in what you want to be applying your degree to consistently throughout your time in the program. And so perhaps you're choosing, as at least I heard or read, one person on the call had stated they're interested in kind of pivoting their career, from a certain profession. I think it was operations to finance. That might be an incredible path to explore via the career track that we offer via our Cardinal Choice, which is really designed for professionals, again, looking to advance in their career or pivot in their career. They would have an allocated and carved out space in their program to do that. And what that really looks like is you would have a participating assignment. Each course, each major course in the program does have what we call a Cardinal Choice assignment, where you could then focus what you're learning on each of these 3 respective tracks, in that case, career. Perhaps, though, there are people interested, and I believe there was another student who mentioned kind of advancing themselves in healthcare. And maybe that's not as much about your career in healthcare as it is about kind of wanting to be a part of the industry and contribute to, either saving lives as far as patients go, or improving operations or healthcare systems. There's all types of opportunities right now in healthcare. And that might be an option to explore via the industry track. As somebody who is interested in the healthcare industry, there's a lot that goes into that industry, and you can carve out space and time within your online MBA program to dig into that further so that you can be better prepared for success in that industry after you graduate. The last track, which is kind of near and dear to my heart, especially because I root for this track a lot, because the world has no shortage of issues or problems or challenges, and our businesses and our organizations have many of them as well. And so we built a track to help solve issues, to solve problems, and to be part of the solutions. And I really love that. And I love the idea of solving problems. I get a chance, fortunately, to solve several of them at the University of Louisville. But we all have problems. We all have issues. We all have challenges professionally and personally that we encounter. And I love the idea of being able to carve out some time in the MBA program to addressing those issues. And so each of these 3 tracks essentially, again, take place over all of our core classes, with the exception of that global learning and global business course that I mentioned earlier, because they are truncated, shorter time frames, and often done in the summer. But each of the participating courses that you see here on your screen do contribute to the Cardinal Choice assignment. Students make their choice near the beginning of the program. After you get admitted, after you get your paperwork completed, you would do a Cardinal kickoff session, one of which being with Trisha or her colleague Safoni. And so you'd be working with them to learn more about the Cardinal Choice in detail. You would then make your selection, complete your classes, and then by culminating or by completing all those individual assignments, you would actually have a deliverable, a final product that would be the representation or the summary of your work from each of those three respective tracks. And so for the career track, that would culminate into a career plan. For an industry track, that would culminate into an industry white paper. And then for the issue track, that would culminate into a process improvement plan, because the issues our MBA students are interested in solving often don't just have a single solution or a switch that can be flipped on or off. It does oftentimes require a process to address. So our students do that through a process improvement plan. So that is a crash course. That was a lot to take in a short amount of time. I know it because I can feel it in my throat, my voice. I was talking very fast with no drinks of water, so I'll take one of those in just a moment. But I want to pause here. I want to definitely get to any questions that you all have on the call. We have plenty of time remaining, I think about 20 minutes or so. If you have any questions tonight, we'll have a chance to address any and all of them on the call this evening. So I'm going to leave this contact information up for just a moment. If you are on the call, if you're listening, encourage you to take a screenshot if you want of that contact information, because you can see my information there down in the bottom right corner, but also in the bottom left corner is our general MBA account. If you have any other questions, broadly speaking, that office and that service account is a great place to direct them as well. So I'll leave that up for just a few more moments. If you have questions tonight, especially ones that I did not get a chance to address, or that you would like more information about, or you want to go back in a couple slides and dig deeper, happy to do all that. You could drop those in the chat if you would like to do so, or you're welcome to unmute and weigh in that way as well. Would love a chance to get to know you tonight. So I'm going to stop sharing at this point. Again, encourage you to take a photo or a screenshot, and I can always reshare that in a moment if somebody needs me to. But I'll stop sharing so I can kind of see the room and the chat, and anybody else who has comments or thoughts tonight would love to get to those with the time that we have remaining. See a few people, one or two at least, chatting or putting some things in the chat there, so we'll give them a moment. If it's easier, you're welcome to
Hi, sir. Can
unmute.
you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi, how are you?
Hey, sir. My name's Phil Fowler. I just had a quick question for you. I
Sure.
was on the
Go ahead, Phil.
website trying to figure out the price of tuition for this master's program,
Sure.
and I'm an active duty service member. So I know that there's some particular rates that are offered to us. I wanted to see if this program, if active duty tuition rate, it qualifies for this program, but I couldn't really get a clear understanding based off the tuition page.
Yeah, great
Thank
question.
you.
Phil, appreciate the question. Trisha, if you will, make sure Phil gets Jillian's contact information. Jillian, Phil is our one of our lead recruiters. She can give you in detail military pricing. I don't want to misspeak on this call because there's several variables that can go into that, as you can imagine. We do have a pretty significant military discount. I will tell you that. I don't know what it equates to in terms of the actual final billing that comes out, but we have a military discount. We do offer some scholarships as well. And so I would be remiss to give you an exact number tonight on the call, but we can get you those numbers. I want to make sure that we put you in the right hands, though, so that you can have that information. So stay tuned in the chat. My colleague Trisha will she just put it in there. Her name is Jillian Misbach. She is the director of our graduate recruiting office. And she will have in detail that information that you're looking for, specific to military tuition. Great question, Phil. And I will also say on the topic, Phil, we are very fortunate at the University of Louisville to have not only a great student body of military connected professionals, we also have the Office for Military Connected Students on our campus, which they have so many great resources for military members. And they really are some incredible professionals because, as you can imagine, there's all types of military specific questions that can come up when enrolling and when completing a graduate degree, especially, but a degree of any kind. And so they're well equipped to answer those questions with experts who are former and or current military members themselves. And so we're very fortunate to partner closely with them on supporting our military members. And thank you for your service. Sorry, just appreciate saw your comment in there. Thank you. I'm glad it was useful and hopefully some helpful information. Again, this is a recorded call, so you can always revisit it, especially because I know I talk a little fast sometimes. I get kind of excited when I'm talking about this program and end up sharing a lot of information in a short amount of time. See a few more coming in the chat, so let's give them just a moment to type those out if they're interested. Again, you are welcome if you want to just unmute and chime in with any questions or comments or thoughts tonight. We do have a few extra minutes here. We could address any of those that folks may have on the call. Trisha posted, if you haven't seen in the chat, a link to our Office for Military Connected Students. Appreciate that. Again, great resource and opportunity for all of our military members and our military spouses as well. They do support military. That's the name for the Military Connected, is it's inclusive of both military members and their families. Trisha, while we're waiting, I see one or two people still typing in the chat. Anything that I have forgotten? I know you have some audio issues tonight yourself, but anything that I should have covered, typically cover, uh, failed to mention, anything along those lines?
Nothing that comes to mind, but the one thing that I feel like that stands out about our faculty in particular is that how easy it is to get in contact with them. Because if you think about an online program, you can easily think, well, it could take a little while to hear back from them.
Yeah,
And that is not not the case.
I think
So
that's a
it is,
fair point.
yeah. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
always very much on top of it with getting back with students very quickly.
we use the expression quite a bit. In fact, we have some things where this is literally written on some of our swag or other places, but we use the expression online but not alone. And again, we go back to thinking about the cohort model and the teams that I referenced and really all the kind of stemming from that. We do truly believe, in fact, we've built entire plans around supporting communities online. And I'm personally really passionate about that, but I'm very fortunate that the faculty and the staff feel the same way and that we embrace that and we feel like it's an important part of being at the College of Business. So communication is a big part of that for sure. All right. Well, I don't see any additional information coming in the chat there unless anybody would like to weigh in. We'll give a last call for questions, comments, ideas, anything along those lines, and then I'll offer a brief conclusion. Right, looks like maybe one or two still chat. All I can see is the chat bubbles, so I figure that means somebody may be typing, so we'll give somebody a moment to do that. While we're doing so, while we're waiting, let me also offer a few concluding thoughts. Again, we do offer two start dates a year. And so the next available start time is the January cohort, but to be a part of that January cohort, you do need to complete your application no later than December 1st. And the sooner the better, to be quite honest with you. We do offer scholarships. But we do have priority scholarships, and those do tend to happen on a not always first come, first serve, but it does. There are dates where we start to award those scholarships, and then after those dates, obviously those scholarships are gone. So, I do encourage you if you're interested at all in this program and would like either more information and or would like to start the application process, or maybe you've already done so, but you need to finish the application process. There's all kinds of students in various statuses out there right now I do want to encourage you that the next few weeks are really important because, again, we're going to accept applications all the way up till December 1st. After that time, the university, much of the higher education does start to slowly shut down in the month of December. And by the time you get to kind of that second to third week of December, very few things are happening at the university, and most of the applications that come in would not be processed in time for that January start date. So do want to encourage you, if you're interested at all in the spring cohort, that is the timeline that you're looking at. Also want to really stress the fact that this is a program that is, in my opinion, one of the most valuable degrees, the MBA, and that is in terms of the graduate market, the business, the workplace. We see a lot of return on the investment with an MBA, and that's still, even as recently as 2025, that data is pretty modern and pretty consistent as far as what an MBA can do for your career. Not only the career changes, pivots, advancements that were talked about earlier, but the return in terms of salary for most professions and across most industries is pretty consistent and significantly outpaces the cost of that MBA degree within the first few years of earning it. But also, it truly is, in my opinion, one of the best learning experiences you can have as a professional. You're going to get, and every business has some version of accounting and marketing and finance and these core business principles. And so, whether you are a business undergraduate student or not, the MBA is designed so that you can still be successful in it. And so I think you should really check it out. You should really look at it and consider all of your options, of course. But do appreciate you being on the call tonight, and we'll stick on a few minutes after. But definitely want to thank you all for being here, and hope that tonight's session answered some of your questions tonight as you think about the online MBA program. All right, well, we will end the recording officially. I'll do that now. Thank you all again for participating, and anybody who watches the recording, thank you for watching. I'll stick around a few extra minutes if there are any additional questions. Otherwise, I hope you have a great evening, and go Cards. We'll see you soon.